Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Spartan, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over a guide on how I do Orb Devo. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I posted a community poll on my channel, and I had two video ideas, and pretty much the majority of people really wanted to see a guide on Orb Devo. So I aim to please, and that's why I'm making this video today. So first of all, what is Orb Devo? Orb Devo is a strategy that revolves around hoarding enemies around your tower and surviving through EHP, and killing enemies when all of your coin multipliers are active. So, what this means is our goal is not to have too much damage, not to really kill the enemies too quickly, and you want, as you can see on the tower right now, there's all of the small basic enemies, and my shockwave is pushing the tanks to the back and letting the small guys come to the front so that my thorns can trim them up, and basically when my ultimate weapons go off, it kills mostly the tanks, which give higher coins and therefore more money. So yeah, let's first talk about the basic requirements for the strategy. And really only three that are like mission critical, and then there's one that's more of kind of a suggestion. So the first and most important is you really want your black hole and golden tower synced, and the reason for that is mostly just for coin income. You really want to maximize your coins with this strategy, and that's why the guide suggests that you should have black hole and golden tower synced. And you can achieve this by doing a natural sync, which is just you drop each individual cooldown so that they all match. You can do it that way, which is really good, or you can also do it through the module Multiverse Nexus. I lucked out pretty early on with Multiverse Nexus. I got two of them straight away, so I was able to pretty quickly get this up to legendary. But yeah, so that's going to be really the main overall requirement. The next requirement is you're going to want, under cards, you're going to want the Extra Orb card right here. And ideally also you would have the Extra Orb Adjuster Lab. And what that does is allows you to click here and you can adjust your orbs to whatever size you really want to based on what range that you're farming at. And we'll cover range a little bit later in the video. Really last crucial requirement is you need a Devoed Workshop, which involves the Respec Lab. So when you have a Devoed Workshop, basically that allows you to take all of your workshop stats and reset them down to level 0. And the reason that you want to do this is because there are some workshop stats that you do not want upgraded at all. You want to either just manually do them or keep them at 0 altogether to do the strategy properly. And the last basic requirement, and this is sort of subjective based on your tower, and that is just generally speaking, I wouldn't recommend starting Orb Devo unless you are around 50 billion lifetime earned coins. I know some people like Jay Plays, he's another YouTuber, he started Orb Devo pretty early on, I think around like 16 billion lifetime coins. So it can be done sooner, it can be done later, but a good general rule of thumb is, you know, anywhere really between like 40 and 60 billion lifetime earned coins is when you would be in a good spot to kind of start the strategy. But yeah, let's talk about some of the things that are just overall good to have for the strategy to work. And the first and probably most important is the Extra Black Hole Lab. This is really, really cool. You've probably seen as my black hole goes off, I actually have 2 of them. So that essentially doubles my coin income from black hole, and it allows enemies to get pulled from pretty much my entire tower range. That is like huge. That's a big reason why my coin income has just skyrocketed. And there you can see it, 2 black holes. The second thing that is really good to have is the Black Hole Damage Lab maxed. And the reason for that is you get the little protector guys that hoard your tower, and they make it where your orbs will not kill the enemies when the black hole pulls them. So the way that the lab works is every second the enemies in the black hole take 2% of their max health. So I'm not 100% on the math, but I believe if you have a black hole duration of 25 seconds with perk, so right now mine's at 19, and once I get the black hole perk, I'll be well over the 25 seconds. But basically with that, it takes two black hole pulls to kill the protector enemies. So that's a good thing to do. And the next, and this is kind of based on the range that you're doing, but you really want your black hole size to be as big as possible. I'd recommend really anything over like 38 meters would be ideal. If you're at min range, if you're at max range, you'd probably want it closer to like what I have right now. And the next thing that is really good is the Extra Orbs lab. And what this does is allows your Extra Orbs card to basically have more orbs attached to it. So you can see right now I have add Extra Orbs for Extra Orbs card. I have it at 2, which I believe is maxed. But that's really, really important for just making sure that as many enemies as possible get killed when your ultimate weapons go off. So that's a big thing that you want to have. And here's some stuff that's really helpful too. It's not really mandatory, I guess, but it is helpful. And that is if you have the Death Wave ultimate weapon, that is really good for increasing your health, your cells, and your coins as well. And since I have Multiverse Nexus, you'll notice all three of these cooldowns go off at the same time. So it's been super, super helpful with my build. And the next ultimate weapon that's pretty helpful, just kind of adds extra coins, is the Spotlight. So you can see I currently have a Spotlight coin bonus of 2.1, and I have a quantity of 2. I believe if you get a quantity of 3 Spotlight, which is like 850 gem or stones to get in the workshop, I believe it basically guarantees that one of your Spotlights will be overlapping your black holes at all times. So that'll just really improve the coins earned from that. Some other stuff that's good to have is Garlic Thorn's lab, and that is in particular exclusively for the vampires, which, especially if you're early on in your tower journey, the vampires can be a real nuisance, and they can just really hurt your progress because they suck. But other good stuff to have is card presets. That allows you to have up to 5 different presets that you can swap from. So I can tap to Blender, and then I have my Blender setup, which is pretty similar, but just adds free upgrades. The next good thing to have is buy multipliers, and that allows you to go from 1, 5, 10, 100, and max. So if I only want to put like 1 level into my Thorns, I can do that. Or if I want to put 100 levels into my HP, I can do that, and so on. So let's talk about the Workshop Respec and all of these stats that you want to make sure to keep at 0. Let's just start at the Attack Workshop. The main things that you want to be sure to keep at 0 is your attack speed, your range, all of your chances. So you have multi-shot, rapid fire, bounce shot. You want to keep all of that. Oh, and super crit. Keep all of that at 0. I believe you can upgrade critical chance. You can do critical factor, damage per meter. All of that is fine, but keep your chances. Everything that says chance, keep it at 0 for now. Next is the Defense Workshop. And this is pretty similar, but a few differences. You do not want to touch your Thorn damage. Some people will just put it straight at 34 in their workshop so that they don't have to worry about it. But I find it's more efficient for just keeping it at 0 and upgrading it manually. The next thing you want to keep at 0 is knockback chance. Your orbs, you want to keep that at 0 because we're using the Extra Orbs card. Shockwave size, keep it at 0, manually upgrade it. And landmine chance, keep that at 0 as well. And last but not least is the Utility Workshop. And the main thing here is you can essentially max everything else except for your free ups. So free attack upgrade, free defense, and free utility upgrades. You want to keep all of these at 0, because what happens is if you upgrade, free utility to get more enemy level skips, it's going to eventually be upgrading your damage, which will screw up your shockwave size and really just ruin your runs. So you want to keep all of these at 0. Now let's talk about the ideal cards for Orb Devo. So the first main thing is your econ cards. So you got enemy balance, you got coins, you got critical coin, and you have cash. This is kind of like the core that you will need. So that's 4 slots. The other card that you absolutely need is your Extra Orbs card. That's 5 slots. Then you'll have some defensive options, which are nice, like health and extra defense. Those are very good. And the rest can really be subject to whatever your tower's needs are. So this is more like quality of life type stuff. I have wave skips for some extra coins and to kind of push me further in the wave. I have recovery package chance because I have the galaxy compressor module, so having more recovery packages makes my ultimate weapons go off more frequently, so that's very important. Wave accelerator is great for just reducing the overall time of your runs by reducing the cooldown of the in-between waves. And last but not least, this is just like a cherry on top. I have intro sprint equipped just to get through like the first 80 waves where really I'm not getting any coins or anything. Let's now talk about the ideal perks that you would want. So the first perk you should always try to get is your perk wave requirement. And this is like super, super important. I'll actually just go through all the perks with you here. Keep your first perk choice always at perk wave requirement. It's just really, really awesome. And it will help you kind of get stacked up before, like earlier rather than later. So anytime you see perk wave requirement, hit it, even if you have a better option. The next big card that you're going to want if you see it, and I would even say get these two, the coins trade-off and the damage 50-50 trade-off. If you ever see those instead of perk wave requirement, I would say get those first. Then you have like your general econ stuff, so increased game speed, golden tower bonus, black hole duration, coin bonuses, cash bonuses are good. But then you have like your defensive options, so extra defense is good. I would probably get that before I would get max health. Then you can get max health, damage, health regen, and so on. There are a few perks that you do not want to get, and that is going to be any of these perks. It's really mainly the trade-off perks. You don't want to get any trade-off perks that give the enemies more damage. So like there's enemy speed minus 44, but damage is times 2.5. Don't get that one. Yeah, if you see any of them that give the enemies more damage, don't get it. In terms of ban perks, some people have different opinions on this, but the main one of standard perks that you want to ban is the free upgrades. Some people will keep interest, will keep landmine damage, and they will substitute it for some of these other perks that are not as great for your runs. But the reason that I have 3 standard perks here is because solely there's 5 different levels you can get of each of these, and the more of these that you ban, the better your chances are of getting stuff that you actually want, and that's why I ban those. Now let's talk about the ideal modules for Orb Devo. And the easiest way I'm going to be able to talk about this is really, you don't want any modules that do significant damage. So for example, the cannon tree, ideally, if you have something better, you don't want anything that increases the damage. But I'm using the Astral Deliverance simply because I don't use the bounce shots in my runs. So I'm strictly using this one for the stats. If you have Wormhole Redirector, that can be a really great card for survivability. I do not have it, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I'm using Anti-Cube Portal, which is pretty good. It really does help me with trimming up the basic enemies if I get a pretty big stack, because they take times 15 damage for 7 seconds after hit by a shockwave. So if you're using this, just make sure that you're managing your thorns properly and you'll be fine. For the econ modules, probably the best one is, especially if you're early on, is going to be Galaxy Compressor. Just for the sake of reducing your ultimate weapon cooldowns, letting your Golden Tower and Black Hole go off quicker. You really can't go wrong with Galaxy Compressor. If you have a Singularity Harness, that can also be a pretty good one if your Golden Bot is synced up with your ultimate weapons, but mine is not. So for the meantime, I'm just going to stick with Galaxy Compressor. The ultimate weapon damage modules, probably the best overall is going to be Multiverse Nexus, especially if you're struggling with syncing up your ultimate weapons. This has really just been a game changer for me. I don't even know if I have any other good core modules. I think I have, Dimension Core, but I don't even have Chain Lightning, so that doesn't really help me. But if you don't have any of these modules that we've been talking about, you can feel free, honestly, to upgrade some of your non-natural epics. You can upgrade them to legendary, and strictly for the stats, so that you can level it up and get better stats. General rule of thumb with modules is you do not want modules that do significant damage, so just remember that. Now let's actually talk about my strategy. So yeah, whenever I first start a run and my intro sprint's going off, the very first thing that I do is I set my range at what I want it. And there's really 3 different ranges that people recommend. I believe that the overall guide says that you should do 69.5, which is fully maxed range. I personally find pretty good success at 40 meters, but the main goal is to figure out which tower range you're going to get enough black hole coverage. So you can see with 40 meters, my black hole is pretty much covering my entire range. So that's the main goal. So step 1 is set your range. Step 2, set your shockwave size. So if you're at 40 meters, you're going to want it at 1.1. If you're at 30 meters, which is basically non-upgraded, you're going to want it at 0.9, or 1 is fine. And if you are at 69.5, you're going to want your shockwave at 1.4, I believe, 1.3 or 1.4. But a lot of this is really just experiment and see what works best for your tower. So once I get my shockwave and my range set, I upgrade my thorns to 5%, and I basically leave this at this for now, and then I go to my utility workshop and I spam the crap out of enemy attack level skips. The main reason for that is just because you really want a lot of enemy attack level skips, because it will help you get further in your runs, especially if your defensive workshop is not super developed. Like mine is still very early game. I'm at like 4,500 on health, like not even 2,000 on regen or defense absolute. So because of that, I really rely heavily on my enemy attack level skips. So pretty much from wave 0 to like 1,500, I will just spam my enemy attack level skips as high as possible, and I will sort of bounce back and forth as more enemies start to hoard my tower and my cannons are getting killed by the shockwave. I will upgrade my thorn damage in increments of 5 until I get them to 34%. I don't ever upgrade my thorns past 34%. And then all that means is that the enemies will die in 3 hits, essentially. But the overall goal is to let the basic enemies hug your tower, let the tank enemies kind of stay behind your tower, stay behind the basic enemies, and then whenever your ultimate weapons go off, all of your tanks basically get killed. That's the main goal. So yeah, from about wave 0 to 1,500, I am upgrading enemy attack level skips. I'm occasionally going back and upgrading my thorns a little bit. I'm not really touching anything in my attack options or anything like that. It's all about the enemy attack level skips. And kind of mid-run from like 1,500 waves to about 25 or 3,000, what I do is I continue to upgrade my enemy attack level skips, but I will also start to upgrade my health as appropriate, as well as I will eventually by that point max out my recovery amount and my max recovery. So it's really just a balancing act. You have to kind of just bounce back and forth between upgrading these various things. And yeah, if you notice your package health is like dipping below pretty much half, you're really going to want to start pumping into health, maybe by like 50 or 100 levels, and then go back to enemy attack level skips. At some point, the enemy attack level skips get so expensive that you're just sitting here waiting for like 5 minutes at a time, and then that's when I will start to upgrade this stuff, the recovery amount and max recovery. Late into my run, what I do is I switch to blender, so that will be anywhere from like wave 3,000 to 3,500 depending on what tier I'm farming. I will switch to blender basically for the sake of getting more cells and just surviving later. And I know that that does take a pretty big hit to your coin income, but at the same time, once you get to that high of a wave, it really doesn't affect it that bad. Plus, you get more cells, which will help you keep your labs where they need to be upgrading wise. So that's why I do it that way. But yeah, that basically sums up the strategy. I guess I can show you real quickly my blender setup here. So yeah, the main thing if you are using card presets and you want to swap back and forth is make sure that you have the same locked cards in both categories. So in my Orb Devo build, I have enemy balance, wave accelerator, and intro sprint. And I have the exact same locked cards in my Orb Devo, in my blender card preset. Because if you like say that my blender one was missing wave accelerator, it would not allow me to swap between the two. So it's very important to have your locked cards be the same on both presets. You can see it's really not a whole lot different. The main difference is instead of extra orbs, I have free upgrades. That is really the only difference. Because once I get to like that wave 3,500, 3,000 range, and I decide to switch to blender, I'm immediately going and upgrading my free upgrades and trying to basically just max out everything. It doesn't take a whole lot of time because at that point in the run, you're really getting so much cash that you can max stuff out pretty easily. But yeah, so that's going to really conclude this video and how I perform Orb Devo. And I really hope this video was helpful to you guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me either on Discord or just in the comments. I will say one last thing. There is a version of Orb Devo that has the wall. I am not quite to the point of having wall yet, but whenever I do get wall developed, I will definitely post a guide about Orb Devo with a wall. If you are to the point where you're getting around like 500 billion to 1 trillion coins per day, and you feel like you want to start with wall, I will say Jay Plays has a really good comprehensive guide that includes the wall. So I'll leave a link to that video in the description so that y'all can check it out. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really do appreciate all the love and support so far. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, I'm just a dude playing this game, having a good time and trying to kind of share knowledge as I see fit. But yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I'm getting pretty close to 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool. But yeah, thank you guys for everything so far, and I'll continue to pump out videos if you guys continue to enjoy them. And anyway, that's going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name has been Spartan, and I will see you guys later.